Good morning. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment, just one, when you were so sure you weren't good enough, smart enough, or ready enough that you didn't even try? Most of us have. And that moment has nothing to do with your ability and everything to do with your belief. Not in the world, not in your environment, not in your luck, but in yourself. So today I want to talk to you about the most powerful force that shapes your success, your relationships, and your happiness, your belief in yourself. And I'll share with you 5 truths that can help you build it and protect it. We all crave a sense of purpose, a reason to keep going, a reason to get out of bed in the morning and face the world. But the one thing that quietly eats away at that purpose, that quietly poisons our confidence, is comparison. It's so subtle, so easy, and it's everywhere. We live in a time where everyone's life is broadcasted in high definition, filtered, curated, polished to perfection. It's the era of highlight reels, a world where you can look into someone else's life with the tap of a finger and immediately feel behind. It's not just envy we feel, it's doubt that we're doing enough, doubt that we're becoming enough, doubt that we're enough, period. But here's the thing, comparison is not rooted in truth, it's rooted in illusion. When we scroll through images of success, beauty, wealth, or happiness, what we're seeing is not the full story. We're seeing snapshots, moments, carefully selected victories. We don't see the nights they couldn't sleep, the deals that fell through, the days they almost quit. We don't see the therapy sessions, the credit card debt, the self-doubt. We just see the end result, and when we judge our journey against someone else's destination, we rob ourselves of joy. We steal from our own sense of progress. We lose sight of our own value. Self-belief begins when we reclaim our focus. When we stop measuring our worth against timelines we were never meant to follow. Imagine how many dreams have died because someone looked left, looked right, and decided they weren't good enough based on someone else's pace. Imagine the potential lost simply because someone chose to believe they were late instead of just in progress. Take Oprah Winfrey. At the start of her career, she was fired from her first television job. She was told she was unfit for TV. Think about that. One of the most iconic figures in media history was told flat out she wasn't good enough. Now imagine if she believed that. Imagine if she scrolled through the successes of others, people who made it earlier, people who looked apart, and allowed that to define her. Imagine if she compared her rough start to someone else's polished middle. The world would have lost a powerhouse, a woman whose voice would go on to inspire generations. She didn't win because she was flawless. She won because she believed despite the noise. She stayed in her lane. She ran her race. She chose to see value where others saw imperfection. That's the power of self-belief, not arrogance, not delusion, but a quiet, firm decision to stay true to your path, to honor your pace, and to keep showing up. It's tempting to look for shortcuts, to measure progress by external milestones, followers, titles, salaries, but real growth, the kind that lasts, doesn't happen in public. It happens in silence, in persistence, in the moments when no one is clapping for you but you keep going anyway. That's the moment where belief is forged. Not when things are easy, but when everything inside you is begging you to quit, and you don't. Comparison tells us we're not enough, that we're too late, too behind, too ordinary, but belief whispers something else. It says this is your time, keep going, and you get to choose which voice to listen to. You were never meant to follow someone else's script. Your story has its own rhythm, its own arc, and the danger of comparison is that it makes us forget that. It makes us feel like imposters in our own lives, like tourists in someone else's dream. But think about a seed. A seed doesn't compare itself to the flower next to it. It doesn't wonder why the other is blooming faster. It just grows, quietly, consistently. It trusts the process. That's what self-belief looks like. It's deciding that even when you don't see results yet, you are still becoming, that your effort matters, that your journey is sacred. We weren't born to compete. We were born to create. And creation doesn't thrive under pressure to conform. It thrives when we lean into our authenticity. When we stop trying to fit into someone else's mold and start asking, what am I here to do? What sets my soul on fire? What can I give that no one else can? Because that's what you were built for, not to replicate, but to contribute something only you can. And you can't do that if you're always looking over your shoulder, measuring yourself against people who aren't even running the same race. When we stop comparing, we start noticing. We notice our own growth, our own strength. We begin to celebrate small wins. We start seeing ourselves clearly, not as failures, not as projects in need of fixing, but as people becoming wiser, stronger, more aligned. The truth is, self-belief isn't a moment, it's a practice. It's waking up every day and choosing to trust yourself just a little more. It's allowing yourself to try, to fail, and to try again without shame. It's finding peace in the process, even when it's slow, even when it's quiet. So next time you feel yourself falling into the trap of comparison, pause, breathe, come back to your path. Remind yourself that your worth is not a scoreboard. You're not in a race against them. You're in a race with yourself. To become the most honest, brave, and purposeful version of who you are, run your race, walk it if you have to, crawl, stumble, fall, but don't waste another second measuring your worth with someone else's ruler. You are not behind. You are not late. You are becoming, and that is more than enough. Confidence isn't something we're born with. It's something we create. We don't emerge into this world with the unwavering belief that we can climb mountains, speak in front of crowds, or lead others toward a vision. No, that kind of confidence is forged in the fires of action, of trying, of failing, and trying again. Somewhere along the way we started to believe the lie that we need to feel confident before we do the thing that scares us. But that's not how it works. Confidence doesn't precede action. Action precedes confidence. Think of a moment in your own life when you hesitated. You stood at the edge of something new, a conversation, a job opportunity, a big dream, and you told yourself, I'm not ready yet. You waited for the feeling to show up. You waited for the surge of courage to arrive and carry you across the threshold. And maybe you're still waiting. But what if that feeling doesn't show up until after you move? Psychologist Albert Bandura introduced a concept that gets to the heart of this: self-efficacy. It's our belief in our ability to succeed at something. What he discovered was simple but profound. Our belief in ourselves doesn't just magically appear. It grows through experience. It's the doing that builds the believing. When people took small, manageable actions, things they could handle even if they were afraid, something shifted inside them. Their self-doubt didn't disappear in one triumphant leap. It faded slowly, piece by piece, as their actions built proof. Look at a child learning to ride a bike. They don't sit on the sidewalk for weeks waiting for belief to strike like lightning. No, they climb on, wobble, fall, cry, get back up, and try again. And after every fall, after every scraped knee, they learn something, not just about balance or pedaling, but about themselves, that they're capable, that they're resilient, that belief is something they can grow. That bike ride may last just 10 feet, the first time, but in that 10 feet is a universe of transformation, not because they were confident when they began, but because they began. So what's stopping us? As adults, we get so good at protecting ourselves from discomfort that we forget how growth actually works. We mistake preparation for progress. We think if we read enough books, gather enough advice, visualize the path perfectly, we'll finally feel ready. But readiness is not a feeling. It's a choice. And sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is take the first step before we feel ready, especially before we feel ready. It's terrifying. Yes, but the truth is, every person you admire, every leader, every innovator, every changemaker, was once scared too. The difference is, they acted anyway. They showed up when they were unsure. They spoke up when their voice trembled. They made decisions without guarantees. And every time they did, their confidence grew, because they proved to themselves that they could survive uncertainty. We often imagine confidence as this unshakable force, something solid and immovable, but it's actually much more like a muscle. And like any muscle, it doesn't grow by thinking about it. It grows by using it. And sometimes the first rep is the hardest. The first phone call, the first yes, the first no. Every action is a vote, not just for the outcome we want, but for the person we're becoming. Imagine someone who's been waiting on a dream for years. They have the talent, they have the vision, but they're waiting for that internal green light. Confidence, they think, will come when the time is right. But what if the time will only feel right after they act? What if the very thing they're waiting for is on the other side of the risk? This isn't about blind optimism. It's about evidence, the kind you build through effort. Every time you face discomfort and move forward anyway, you're sending yourself a message. I can handle this. That message sticks. It creates a new foundation. And soon, the things that once felt impossible become familiar terrain. So take the step, even if your hands shake. Even if your voice cracks, even if your heart races, especially if your heart races, because that discomfort, that resistance, that's the signal that you're at the edge of something meaningful. And if you can summon the courage to lean in instead of retreat, you'll discover something powerful. You were never lacking confidence. You were just waiting for permission to begin. But you don't need permission. You need movement. You need momentum. Confidence catches up to those who start running. It doesn't meet you at the finish line. It meets you after the first stumble, after the second try, after the third failure that doesn't break you. It meets you in the middle of the messy, imperfect, beautiful effort of showing up. Let others wait until they feel ready. Let others hide behind perfection. But you're not here to be perfect. You're here to be in motion. You're here to grow. And growth is loud, clumsy, and sometimes painful, but it's real, and real always beats perfect. So today, choose progress over pride. Choose courage over comfort. Choose the step, even if it's small, Because confidence isn't born, it's built, one action at a time. Every day, from the moment we wake up to the second we fall asleep, there's a conversation happening in our heads. It's quiet, constant, and persistent. It's the voice that narrates our fears, dreams, doubts, and aspirations. And while it might seem invisible to the outside world, it's the single most powerful force shaping our reality. We talk to ourselves more than we talk to anyone else. That inner dialogue is not just background noise, it's the soundtrack to our lives. The question is, are we composing a song of belief, or a ballad of fear? Imagine waking up and the first voice you hear is one that whispers, "You're not good enough, you're not ready, you're going to fail." Now imagine that voice isn't a stranger, it's not a toxic friend, it's not an online troll, it's you. And here's the heartbreaking truth. We often treat ourselves worse than we'd ever dare to treat someone we care about. We feed ourselves doubt, and then wonder why confidence doesn't grow. We rehearse failure in our minds, then expect success to show up on the stage. The problem isn't that we have an inner voice. The problem is we've let it become our harshest critic, instead of our greatest coach. We wouldn't tolerate someone else talking to us the way we often talk to ourselves. If a friend said, "You're going to mess this up," every time we tried something new, we'd walk away. If a loved one rolled their eyes and said, "You're not smart enough," every time we shared a dream, we'd call them out. Yet when those same words echo from within, we absorb them, we accept them, and worse, we believe them. But we weren't born this way. No child looks in the mirror and thinks, "I'm not enough." That's learned. It's taught by experiences, reinforced by rejections, and amplified by comparison. Somewhere along the way, we traded curiosity for caution, ambition for anxiety, and boldness for self-doubt. That voice inside us learned to be afraid, but it can learn something else. The shift begins when we become conscious, when we pause, when we catch ourselves in the act of self-sabotage, and ask a simple question: would I say this to someone I love? It sounds small, but it's revolution, because in that moment we're no longer passive listeners. We become editors of our inner dialogue, and editors have power. Think of someone you admire, someone who achieved greatness, not because everything came easy, but because they chose not to listen to the voice that said, Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes of all time, was cut from his high school basketball team. Cut, not benched, not overlooked. Cut. He could have believed it meant he wasn't enough, that he'd never make it, that the dream was too big. But he didn't. He rewrote the script. He transformed "I can't" into "watch me." That moment of rejection wasn't a dead end. It was a spark. And the fire he lit with it changed history. What if we could do that too? What if instead of accepting the inner critic's verdict, we cross-examine? What if we chose to turn up the volume on the voice that sees potential, not limitation? That voice exists inside all of us. But like any muscle, it needs training. It needs repetition. It needs belief. Here's the truth. Most people won't tell you. The inner critic never completely goes away. It's always lurking, always ready to pounce in moments of vulnerability. But we can make it quieter. We can make it less convincing. And we do that by feeding a different voice. The one that says, "You've done hard things before. You can do this too." The one that reminds us of our resilience, our worth, our strength. That voice isn't delusion. It's a choice. It's a decision to believe in the possibility of becoming more, rather than staying stuck in the fear of not being enough. There will be moments when you fall short, when the presentation doesn't land, the relationship ends, the promotion goes to someone else. And in those moments, the critic will scream, but the coach will whisper. It will say, "This doesn't define you." It will ask, "What did you learn?" It will encourage, "Keep." And if you keep choosing to listen to that voice, something powerful happens. The self-doubt doesn't disappear, but it stops being the dominant narrative. Your inner dialogue becomes a source of strength, not suffering. This transformation isn't about blind positivity. It's about honesty with hope. It's about acknowledging fear, but not bowing to it. It's about recognizing that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself, and choosing to make that relationship one of compassion, not condemnation. We teach others how to treat us, but first we teach ourselves. If you want more confidence, speak to yourself with encouragement. If you want more courage, affirm your ability to rise. If you want more peace, silence the self-punishment. It starts with one question: would I say this to someone I love? And then choosing to love yourself enough to say something better. So the next time that inner voice whispers, "You're not ready," you remind it of every moment you showed up anyway. When it says you're not good enough, you remind it of the storms you've survived. When it hisses, "You'll fail," you answer, "That's how I'll learn." You are the author of your inner voice. You decide if it builds or breaks. And when you choose to believe in your own potential, not just once, but every day, over time that belief becomes a habit. And that habit becomes your truth. There's a truth we often forget in our pursuit of greatness. Believing in yourself
is not a solo act. It's not about locking yourself away in a room with your dreams and waiting for the world to notice. It's about something far more human, far more powerful. It's about connection. We are social creatures, wired for belonging. And who we surround ourselves with shapes what we believe is possible. This isn't just motivational fluff. It's foundational. The people in your orbit either build your belief or break it down. They either speak to your potential or echo your doubt. So the question is, who are you listening to? Imagine a woman, alone, broke, raising a child on welfare. She's writing in cafes because she can't afford heat at home. She pours her soul into a story that she's not even sure anyone will read. She sends it to publishers. And one after another they say no. 12 rejections. And yet somehow she keeps writing. Not because she had unshakable self-belief from the start, but because one friend did. One person believed in her enough to say, keep going. That belief was contagious. It became the spark that helped her hold on a little longer. That woman was J.K. Rowling. And without that friend, who knows if the world would ever have met Harry Potter. There's science behind this too. A Harvard study found that individuals with strong supportive relationships are far more likely to reach their goals, both personal and professional. And the reason isn't just accountability. It's that when your own belief starts to fade, you can borrow someone else's. You can lean on their certainty in you until you rediscover your own. Think about that. The difference between giving up and going all in can be as simple as someone saying, I see you, I believe in you. So many of us chase success by grinding harder, pushing longer, isolating ourselves, under the illusion that real achievement is born in solitude. But that's a myth. The truth is, belief is built in community. Your environment isn't just background noise. It's shaping your mindset every single day. Every word spoken to you, every look of doubt or encouragement, every whisper of you can or you can't. It all adds up. If you surround yourself with people who see greatness in you even when you can't see it in yourself, you rise. You begin to believe that your dreams are not delusions. They are destinations, waiting for your arrival. And it doesn't stop with you. You have the power to be that belief builder for someone else. You can be the voice that cuts through their self-doubt, the light that makes them see who they really are. Because sometimes all it takes is one person to say, I believe in you, for someone's entire story to change. So choose your people wisely, and be the kind of person someone else is grateful to have in their corner. Belief means betting on yourself, even when it's hard. It means standing in front of a mirror when the world says no, and whispering to yourself. It's the quiet courage to keep going, when everything around you tells you to quit. Belief isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It's the calm in the storm, the flicker of light, when the tunnel feels endless. It's what shows up when no one else does. Not because the outcome is certain, but because you are. The truth is, belief doesn't guarantee success. You can believe with all your heart and still fall short. But here's what's more certain. Without belief, failure becomes almost inevitable. Doubt has a way of stealing opportunities before they even begin. When you don't believe in yourself, you start saying no before anyone else has a chance to. You begin shrinking in the face of possibility. You start editing yourself, cutting out your ideas before they see the light of day. Believing in yourself doesn't mean you'll never feel fear. It means you feel it and move anyway. It means you hear the voice of uncertainty and say, I'm doing it anyway. Fear and belief often walk side by side. The difference is which one you listen to. Take Sarah Blakely. She didn't come from the fashion world. She didn't have connections. She didn't have experience. What she had was $5,000, a pair of scissors, and a ridiculous idea to cut the feet out of her pantyhose. Everyone told her no. Investors, retailers, experts, they all passed. But she kept showing up. She kept asking questions, kept knocking on doors. She wasn't betting on an idea. She was betting on herself. That's the difference. She believed that even if she didn't have the answers, she could figure them out. And she did. She built Spanx from scratch. Today she's not just a billionaire. She's a symbol, not of fashion, but of belief. And here's the lesson. Sometimes the world won't give you permission. Sometimes no one will hand you the microphone. No one will invite you to the table. So what do? You build your own table. You raise your own hand. You give yourself the permission the world is withholding. Because the most powerful investment you will ever make is in yourself. Not in your resume, not in your image, in you, your capacity, your resilience, your ability to figure it out as you go. Betting on yourself isn't arrogance. It's responsibility. It's the understanding that your life is yours to shape. And even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, that's when belief matters most. Because belief is what keeps the fire alive when everything else around you goes cold. It's what makes the impossible a little more possible. And if you're waiting for someone to believe in you before you act, let it be you. Start there. That's where everything begins. So today, I challenge you. Stop comparing, start acting. Speak kindly to stay close to those who lift you, and never stop betting on your own potential, because at the end of the day, it's not your resume, your degrees, your likes, or your luck that shapes your life. It's the quiet, unshakable belief that you are enough, and you are capable, right now. Believe in yourself. The rest will follow.